Have you ever made a decision that felt completely rational, only to look back and realize it was driven by something deeper, something you couldn't quite name? You chose the safer job over the exciting one. You stayed in the comfortable relationship instead of seeking what you truly deserved. You remained silent when you should have spoken up. At the time, it felt like logic. But what if I told you that in these moments, and countless others throughout your day, you're not actually making conscious choices? What if your decisions are being quietly manipulated by an invisible force? This isn't about dramatic, heart-pounding fear. This is about the subtle, insidious fear that operates beneath your awareness. The fear that whispers rather than shouts. The fear that disguises itself as practicality, as responsibility, as being realistic. Napoleon Hill, after studying human achievement for 2 decades, identified this as the single greatest barrier to success, not the fear we recognize, but the fear we don't. Let me show you how this works in your daily life. When you hesitate to ask for a raise, that's not just professional caution, that's the fear of rejection speaking. When you avoid a difficult conversation, that's not just conflict aversion, that's the fear of discomfort running the show. When you endlessly research instead of taking action, that's not just thoroughness, that's the fear of making a mistake masquerading as preparation. Your entire life is filled with these micro-decisions, and most of them are being directed by fear without your conscious consent. The most dangerous aspect of this hidden fear is how brilliantly it camouflages itself. It doesn't show up as sweaty palms and a racing heart. It appears as common sense. It sounds like "be realistic" or "don't rock the boat" or "this isn't the right time." It uses the language of reason to accomplish the agenda of fear. You believe you're being prudent when you're actually being controlled. Napoleon Hill discovered that fear operates through what he called the 6 ghosts of fear. These aren't separate entities but rather interconnected manifestations of the same core programming that lives in the subconscious mind of every person who hasn't learned to master it. Understanding these ghosts is the first step toward reclaiming your decision-making power. The first ghost is the fear of poverty. This isn't just about being afraid of not having money. This is a deep-seated dread of scarcity that influences everything from your career choices to your shopping habits. It's why you stay in dead-end jobs, why you hesitate to invest in yourself, why you choose security over fulfillment. The fear of poverty whispers that there's never enough money, never enough opportunity, never enough time. It keeps you playing small to avoid imagined catastrophes. The second ghost is the fear of criticism. This is the terror of what other people might think or say about you. It's why you don't wear what you want to wear, speak what you want to speak, or live how you want to live. The fear of criticism made you care more about social media likes than personal truth. It convinced you that fitting in is safer than standing out. It's the reason you edit your personality based on who's in the room with you. The third ghost is the fear of ill health. This extends beyond hypochondria into a pervasive anxiety about your physical and mental capacity. It's why you don't push yourself physically, why you avoid mental challenges, why you doubt your ability to handle stress or difficulty. This ghost magnifies every minor ache into a potential catastrophe and every challenge into an impossible obstacle. The fourth ghost is the fear of loss of love. This isn't just romantic, it's the terror of being rejected or abandoned by anyone whose approval you seek. It's why you say yes when you mean no, why you sacrifice your values to maintain harmony, why you become who others want you to be rather than who you truly are. This ghost will have you betraying yourself regularly just to feel accepted. The fifth ghost is the fear of old age. This is the dread of becoming irrelevant, useless, or unwanted. It's why you lie about your age, why you resist learning new technologies, why you cling to outdated ways of being. This ghost makes you fear the future rather than prepare for it, and it robs you of the wisdom that comes with experience. The sixth ghost is the fear of death. While this seems literal, Hill understood it as the fear of the unknown, the uncontrollable, the end of potential. It's why you avoid risks, why you seek guarantees, why you prefer the familiar misery over the uncertain joy. This ghost keeps you in prisons of your own making because the walls, however limiting, feel safer than the vast unknown beyond them. Now, here's what Hill discovered that most people miss: these ghosts rarely work alone. They form alliances in your subconscious, creating what I call fear syndicates that control entire areas of your life. The fear of poverty partners with the fear of criticism to keep you in unfulfilling work. You're afraid both of financial instability and of what people will say if you try something different. The fear of loss of love teams up with the fear of old age to keep you in stagnant relationships. You're afraid both of being alone and of being too old to find someone new. These syndicates explain why some patterns feel so resistant to change. You're not fighting one fear but multiple fears working in concert, each reinforcing the others, creating a psychological fortress around your limitations. But here's the revolutionary truth Hill uncovered: fear isn't your enemy. Fear is a misguided protector. It's trying to keep you safe, but it's working with outdated software. It's using prehistoric programming to navigate modern challenges. The fear that kept your ancestors alive in dangerous environments is the same fear that's keeping you trapped in comfortable mediocrity. Understanding this changes everything. You stop fighting fear and start reprogramming it. You begin to recognize that the fear you feel isn't a stop sign, it's a navigation tool. The presence of fear indicates you're moving towards something that matters, something that requires growth, something that could potentially transform your life. Hill developed what he called the Fear Alchemy Process, a method to transform fear from a master into a servant. This isn't about eliminating fear but about changing your relationship with it. The process begins with what I call fear recognition training. You must learn to spot fear in its disguises. That sensible voice advising caution? That's fear. That logical argument for playing small? That's fear. That urge to wait for better circumstances? That's fear wearing a rational mask. The next step is fear dialogue. Instead of resisting fear, you engage with it. You thank it for trying to protect you, then you gently inform it that its services aren't needed in this particular situation. You acknowledge the fear without obeying it. This might sound simple, but it's profoundly powerful. When you stop treating fear as the truth and start treating it as data, everything changes. The third component is courage building. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward despite fear. Hill found that courage is like a muscle, it strengthens with use. Each time you feel fear and act anyway, you're not just accomplishing something external, you're building your courage capacity. You're teaching your nervous system that you can handle discomfort, that you can survive making mistakes, that you can thrive outside your comfort zone. Now let me give you Hill's specific framework for what he called decision sovereignty, the practice of making choices free from fear's manipulation. This is the exact system used by the most successful individuals he studied. Step 1 is the choice audit. For 1 week, carry a small notebook and document every significant decision you make. Not just the big ones: what to eat, when to work, how to respond to emails, what to say in conversations. Then, go back and identify which choices were influenced by fear. You'll be shocked to discover how many of your decisions are actually fear reactions in disguise. Step 2 is the fear inventory. Make a list of every fear that's currently influencing your life. Be brutally honest. Are you afraid of looking foolish? Of being alone? Of running out of money? Of not being good enough? Writing them down robs them of their power. Fears thrive in darkness and die in the light of conscious awareness. Step 3 is the reality test. For each fear, ask yourself, what's the actual probability of this feared outcome? What's the worst-case scenario? Could I survive it? What's the best-case scenario if I move forward despite the fear? Most fears collapse under the weight of rational examination because they're based on emotional reasoning rather than factual assessment. Step 4 is the values alignment. Before making any significant decision, ask yourself, is this choice aligned with my deepest values, or is it being driven by fear? When you learn to distinguish between fear-based choices and values-based choices, you begin to live with integrity rather than anxiety. Step 5 is the action antidote. Fear grows in stillness and diminishes in action. The moment you feel fear about a decision, take the smallest possible action toward what you truly want. Action creates momentum, and momentum drowns out fear's whispers. Now, I know what you might be thinking: this sounds good, but my fears feel real. The consequences feel tangible. This is where Hill's most profound insight becomes crucial. He discovered that successful people don't have fewer fears, they have a different relationship with their fears. They've learned to use fear as fuel rather than as a brake. When you feel fear about public speaking, that's energy you can channel into preparation and passion. When you feel fear about starting a business, that's energy you can channel into careful planning and relentless execution. When you feel fear about having a difficult conversation, that's energy you can channel into compassionate communication. The physical sensations are identical: the racing heart, the tense muscles, the quickened breath. The only difference is the meaning you assign to these sensations. Are they signals of danger or signals of excitement? Are they reasons to retreat or energy to engage? Over the next 30 days, I challenge you to implement what I call the Fear Liberation Protocol. Each day, you'll do 3 things. First, each morning, identify one fear that's likely to influence your decisions that day and pre-commit to acting despite it. Second, each time you make a significant choice, pause and ask, is this fear or is this freedom? Third, each evening, review your decisions and celebrate every time you chose values over fear. What you'll discover is what he'll describe as the ultimate liberation. The moment you stop fearing fear is the moment you become unstoppable. Fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its authority over you. It becomes background noise rather than the conductor of your life's orchestra. You have a choice to make right now. You can continue allowing hidden fears to direct your life from the shadows, making choices that keep you safe but small. Or you can bring those fears into the light, understand their origins, and reclaim your sovereignty as the decision maker of your own existence. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your decisions. And the quality of your decisions is determined by your ability to recognize when fear is whispering in your ear and your courage to choose what truly matters anyway. Your future self, the confident, capable, authentic person you're meant to become, is waiting for you to make this shift. Don't keep them waiting any longer. The power to choose freely, to decide courageously, to live fully, it's already within you. It's time to activate it.